They're saying it out loud now, and once a narrative like this hits the bloodstream of NFL media, it never really leaves. Worst quarterback in history. Not struggling. Not overrated. Not inconsistent. Worst. Ever. And the wildest part is that they're saying this about a guy who just dragged the New England Patriots to the AFC Championship Game and might walk away with the league's most valuable player award. That contradiction alone tells you this story isn't about stats. It's about pressure, perception, and one single situation that could define an entire legacy. If you want to understand why Drake Maye is being praised as the future of football in one breath and publicly dissected in the next, you're in the right place, because what happens next could reshape how we talk about quarterbacks forever. Drake Maye's second season wasn't supposed to look like this. Sophomore years are supposed to be messy. Defenses adjust. Film catches up. Weaknesses get exposed. Instead, Maye did the opposite. He sharpened everything. He commanded the offense. He looked calm in hostile environments. He didn't just win games, he controlled them. The Patriots didn't sneak into the playoffs. They marched through them. First the Chargers, then the Texans. Methodical, efficient, cold-blooded. By the end of the divisional round, there was no more nice story talk. This was real. New England was back. And Drake Maye was the engine. Then one sentence detonated everything. On a casual morning sports show, analyst Eric Sollenberger, better known as PFT commenter, dropped a line that instantly went viral. He called Drake Maye great. He called his season unbelievable. He called him the future of the NFL. And then he said this: on third and exactly 6 yards to go, Drake Maye is the worst quarterback in the history of the NFL. That's not criticism. That's a headline designed to burn itself into your brain. Now let's be clear, because this matters. This wasn't framed as opinion about Maye overall. This was a hyper-specific scenario. Third down. Exactly 6 yards. A distance that sits in that uncomfortable middle ground. Too long for a safe check down. Too short for a deep shot. The playbook shrinks. The defense knows it. And apparently, according to the numbers, Drake Maye collapses here more than anyone. But here's the question nobody wants to ask out loud. If this flaw is so glaring, how did this team get here? Because the Patriots didn't luck their way into the AFC Championship. They earned it. They dominated the AFC East. They controlled the line of scrimmage. They trusted their quarterback. And Drake Maye delivered when it mattered most. During the regular season, Maye threw for 4,394 yards, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Add 4 rushing touchdowns on top of that. Those aren't good for a young quarterback numbers. Those are elite numbers, period. In the playoffs, with everything tightened and every mistake magnified, he added 447 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't being carried. He was driving the bus. So how can someone with those numbers be labeled historically bad in any scenario? This is where NFL discourse gets dangerous, because stats without context become weapons. 3rd and 6 sound specific, but football isn't played in spreadsheets. It's played in chaos. Personnel packages change. Play calls vary. Defensive disguises matter. And when you isolate a single down and distance, you remove everything that actually makes quarterbacking hard. But that doesn't mean the criticism is meaningless. Because if there's one thing history has taught us, it's that great quarterbacks eventually erase their weak spots. They don't just win despite them. They conquer them. And that's why this moment matters so much. Drake Maye isn't being criticized because he's bad. He's being criticized because expectations have exploded. The Patriots are no longer rebuilding. They're contending. And contenders don't get excuses. The AFC Championship Game is where reputations are carved into stone. And this year, it's happening under circumstances nobody predicted. The Denver Broncos, the number 1 seed, lost their quarterback. Bo Nix is out for the season. Jarrett Stidham is stepping in. Suddenly, the Patriots are favorites. Suddenly, the pressure flips. Suddenly, this isn't about potential anymore. This is about validation. And that's when narratives like worst ever on 3rd and 6 become dangerous, because defenses read headlines too. You don't think Denver's coaching staff knows this stat? You don't think they're designing situations to force it? If there's one down they're hunting, it's that one. This is where legends are tested. Because here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Every quarterback has a kryptonite until they don't. Peyton Manning had playoff demons. Tom Brady had early career questions about mobility. Josh Allen was inaccurate. Lamar Jackson couldn't win in January. Until suddenly, those narratives collapsed under the weight of performance. Drake Maye is standing at that same crossroads. And the MVP conversation only complicates things further. On Thursday, Maye was named a finalist for the league's most prestigious individual award. He's sharing that stage with Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, and Christian McCaffrey. That's not a sympathy nomination. That's recognition. That's the league telling you this guy belongs in the room. Some even believe Maye and Stafford are the frontrunners. Think about how insane that is. A quarterback being discussed as both MVP and historically bad in the same breath. That doesn't happen unless the spotlight is blinding. Now, let's address the rumor angle clearly, because this matters for credibility. The worst in history label is based on a specific statistical slice discussed by one analyst. It is not a consensus league-wide evaluation. It is not an official metric recognized by teams. It is a narrative born from data, amplified by shock value, and fueled by timing. That doesn't make it fake. But it does mean it needs perspective. What if the issue isn't Maye's ability, but the Patriots' play-calling tendencies in that situation? What if defenses are baiting certain routes? What if New England has already started adjusting quietly, waiting for the biggest stage to flip the script? Because here's something fans forget. The Patriots don't show everything early. They never have. This franchise is built on holding cards until they matter most. If Drake Maye comes out in the AFC Championship and converts multiple 3rd and 6 situations, this entire narrative evaporates overnight. The same analysts will call it growth, maturity, adaptation. The story flips instantly. But if he struggles, even in a win, the noise gets louder. And that's the weight young quarterbacks carry now. Not just winning, but winning clean. Winning perfectly. Winning in ways that silence every spreadsheet. Drake Maye didn't ask to be crowned the future of the NFL. That label was placed on him. And with it came impossible standards. You're not allowed to be great most of the time. You have to be great all of the time in every situation, or someone will find the crack and push their finger into it. The AFC Championship Game isn't just Patriots versus Broncos. It's Drake Maye versus expectation. It's narrative versus reality. It's potential versus proof. And here's my take, as someone who has watched this league long enough to recognize patterns. This feels like the moment where the story breaks in one of two directions. Either this becomes the footnote everyone laughs about in 5 years, or it becomes the origin story of a flaw that haunted a career. I don't think Drake Maye is the worst quarterback in history on any down. I think he's a young quarterback whose microscope got turned up too fast. And sometimes that pressure forges something stronger. But football doesn't care what I think. It only cares what happens when the ball is snapped. So here's the real question I want you to sit with. When 3rd and 6 shows up on the screen in the AFC Championship, do you trust Drake Maye to rise? Or do you think the numbers finally catch up? Because whatever happens in that moment will follow him far longer than any MVP vote ever will.